What is up, friends, lovers, enemies of superheroes today? Um, yeah. First things first, yes, I did cut myself a shag. Second thing second, Bulby thinks it's time to scratch on the window. But back to point one. I know it doesn't really look like anything, especially in this lighting. Or at least for me, watching myself in the viewfinder. So this is an idea that I've had for about months now, and have been keeping in my back pocket for when I finally do it. I don't know. So I watch a lot of commentary YouTube, duh, don't we all? And I especially really enjoy movie commentary YouTube. Like, I find those to be the most entertaining. If you put one and two together, you would see that I've been watching a lot of Bionic Pig. And he started to get away from like really bad movies to good movies like High School Musical and Sky High. And a movie that is very similar to me as Sky High is Megamind, and I just like really and truly wanted to get to Megamind before he does, although if he already has one when this came out, I will be so angry, but it will be my fault for being very slow at editing. I'm also first time gonna try and use a teleprompter. Yeah, because I know that like Curtis and whomsoever like script their videos, which ew, that sounds like work. And I wasn't built to work. I was put on this earth to look pretty, as was our hero, Megamind. So let me like explain the movie. So the setup is that there's like this black hole and that there's these two babies from different planets that the parents are like, you gotta go. You gotta fly in your little baby spaceships to Earth. So Will Ferrell, aka Megamind, lands on Earth, and Brad Pitt, who is Metro Man. They both land on Earth in the same city, which is problematic in my opinion. And because the universe is unfair, Megamind lands in a prison, which makes no sense, because prison's not daycare. And then Metro Man ends up in the home of childless millionaires. Eat the rich. So we're presented this pretty traditional, like, hero-villain duo. So, like, Metro Man is modeled after Superman. He looks like Superman. He's ugly, has muscles. Unless you find muscles to be cute, in which case this channel's not for you. He's also, like, all-powerful, so Superman. But also when they pitched the movie, they were like, oh, what would happen if Lex Luthor defeated Superman? So that's kind of why he looks like that. We have Megamind, who is not designed like as like visually, like you can tell that he's designed after a super villain, like specifically. Like he kind of looks like if Dr. Draken had a baby with Jeff Bezos and Jimmy Neutron. But is also like kind of hot. So he's like a smart inventor, but major idiot vibes. And is scheming like Bezos and has big Jimmy Neutron head. You see what we're getting at? But then we also have like this fun color scheme thing going on. So we have like Metro Man is white and gold, very Greek, like, I don't know. And then you have Megamind, who's like blue and black and blue. He's a bruise. The setup to the movie is just this dumb fight. We meet Tina Fey, aka Roxanne Ritchie, who's the damsel in distress and the love interest. She wears a lot of cool red dresses, or maybe it's one red dress that I just remember a lot. And then we meet Jonah Hill, who is Hal Stewart, and then we meet David Cross, who is Minion. Not that Minion. And then Metro Man is like, peace out.
Then leave. Peace out.
Which is like really early in the movie and is dumb and is very weird. So then skinny Will Ferrell plays some bangers and takes over City Hall. And then he paints City Hall blue, a good choice. But he never really like thought past the point of like accomplishing this goal. So he doesn't really know what to do. So he gets really bored and sad. Then he goes to the Metro Man Museum, which was like being built at the beginning. Doesn't really matter. And then he meets Ben Stiller, aka Bernard. And as we have talked about, I think we've talked about it, I really love Ben Stiller. And Ben Stiller also was the executive producer of the movie. Interesting things are afoot. But Bernard is super rude to Megamind. Don't appreciate that at all. Then he realizes that Roxanne is there and he's like, oh no. Yikes. So then he dehydrates Bernard with his dehydrating gun and he turns into Bernard. And that's basically the rest of the movie. But this is like what actually happens now that we have the setup, is that Roxanne Ritchie starts to hang out with Megamind as Bernard. They first bond over missing Metro Man, like literally right before he blows up the museum. And Roxanne tells him that like heroes are made, not born, and whatever. So he then takes some of Metro Man's DNA, turns it into a gun. It's like a horse pill that could imbue someone with Metro Man's superpowers, but it's a gun. So then the next day, Roxanne Ritchie finds Megamind's hideout and then calls Bernard's phone, which Megamind has because he destroyed Bernard, essentially. And he's like, what the? You're here at my house? But then he gets Roxanne out of his lair, but in the middle of all that happening, he shoots a gun, and the gun with Metro Man magic goes into Hal Stewart's nose. That's when he meets Hal for the first time. And so as the audience, we don't like Hal because he's an asshole. He's designed to look exactly like Carl Wheezer. Thoughts and prayers for that man. He also thinks that bouncy castles get girls to like you, and he won't take no for an answer. And he also asks her out, like, in the grossest way possible by lying to her that he's inviting her to a party. Gross, disgusting. Yeah, and also Roxanne clearly doesn't like him, and we trust her judgment because, like, she's shown really early on to have, like, a strong moral compass and, like, also super chill. However, Megamind, like I said, is instantly like, Hal is, oh, chef's kiss, he's amazing. So he goes to Hal's apartment dressed as Superman's dad, aka Marlon Brando, aka Jor-El from the 1978 Superman movie. And Minion is wearing an apron. So then basically he's like, Hal, you got superpowers now and I'm gonna train you. So that's kind of what he does, so that he can take Metro Man's place and occupy Megamind. So then we have this really fat montage of Bernard and Roxanne getting to know each other and falling in love, going on dates. She tells him that the city used to be pretty or whatever, so then he dehydrates all the trash. Amazing, because he clearly doesn't know what a trash removal company is. But it's also great because he's doing it to make her happy and not like to get something out of it for himself, which is really, love him. But then, you know, he's also training Titan, who is Hal, at the same time, and Titan melts off Megamind's face with his laser vision, which shows us that this is going to be a mess. But regardless, Megamind does have dumbass disease, so he plans to have a duel with Titan literally the next day, or whatever the time frame is. It's not that long. But he, like that night, he has a date with Roxanne planned at this Valentine's Day themed restaurant. So I love it. That's kind of my favorite part of the movie. But, like, before the date, he has a fight with Minion, and Minion leaves. Which makes it very annoying and difficult for him to do anything, because he's not able to do anything for himself. He is baby Will Ferrell, skinny blue, good music taste. Jimmy Neutron head. Meanwhile, Roxanne is trying to figure out who killed JonBenet Ramsey, like a good detective, and spoiler alert, it was the father. I know everyone thinks it's the brother, but the dad was sexually abusing this child. And she died with a huge rock of poop in her stomach. You can't tell me that he's not to blame at least a little bit. So I'm gonna put all the blame on the dad. But actually, yeah, Roxanne figures out that Megamind was working on creating Titan, and then serendipity, Titan shows up behind her. This is a superhero movie, so Roxanne immediately becomes a dumb idiot, and doesn't realize that Titan is Hal. Like, please no, get it together. He then endangers her safety like a lot of times, and then brings her to the tallest building in Metro City. And he tells her that they're meant to be together. Now that he's super, they can be together. And she's like, no, you're ugly inside and out. And also, I never dated Metro Man. I don't like superheroes. Yeah, so then he's mad and he blows out all the windows. Makes no sense to me, but like, as we will see, Titan / Hal is absolutely insane. And he can't handle rejection. That's his entire personality. We will be talking more about this in a second. I just have to give the whole description of the movie so that then we can talk about the meat and the juicy bits that are why I wanted to make this video. So then Roxanne shows up at the restaurant, and that's, I'm pretty sure, when she's wearing my favorite red dress. And then she kisses Megamind when Hal / Titan is watching. She does a little jam jam on Megamind's watch accidentally, and he stops looking like Bernard. And then everyone in the restaurant's like, what the fuck? And then they have a huge fight, and he loses his invisible car where the gun is in the rain. But also all of the trash rehydrates. It's the best sequence. I love it. But then Megamind is still, like, neurotypical enough to go out and do things the next day, even when his heart's broken. Literally could not be me. But then he waits around all of the next day because he thinks that Titan is gonna be there for the fight, and he didn't realize that Titan needs actual motivation to do this? Maybe he should have thought ahead. So then he goes to Titan's house and finds out that he stole, like, a lot. Like, he stole money, he stole an ATM, and he's just being an asshole. So now Megamind gets real and reveals that not only is he Marlon Brando, who gave him his powers, he was also the man who was kissing Roxanne. Now Titan gets really angry and tries to kill Megamind, and when Megamind's like, this fight's too much, but we did good on the dramatics, Titan continues to try to kill him. Also, Megamind finds out that Metro Man's weakness that he previously thought was copper is not copper, so he freaks out. Then he goes to find Roxanne, and he, like, doesn't really apologize, but whatever. And then they go to Metro Man's old house because Roxanne had been there before because they, like, went on a date, but it didn't go well, blah, 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 blah. So they go to Metro Man's house, they find out that he is still there, and then we find out that Brad Pitt cannot sing, and that's okay. You know, not everyone can have talent. They beg Metro Man to literally kill Hal, but he refuses to do it because he's an asshole. But also because maybe he could see through the future and he knew that Megamind needed to do this. What am I to say? Yeah, so then Megamind gives up and goes back to jail because that's his home. Makes no sense to me. And then Titan thinks that his name is spelled Titan, Tighten. Never said he was smart. But this is when Roxanne shows up because Megamind gave up on fighting, but she's like, I love this city, so no, we can't give up. She, like every other woman in the world, has to fill the role of being both the sex symbol and the maternal nurturing figure. We then find out that Titan is an asshole, even more than we knew. He brings Roxanne Ritchie up to the top of the tallest building again. He basically, like, tells her that he doesn't give a shit about being a good person, which is, now we're kind of, like, through the meat enough that I can talk about why this movie is important, not just to me, but to society, and should have received more accolades than Despicable Me, but the world is cruel and unfair, like Hal tells us. So Titan / Hal is an incel. You know, like, I think that's really easy to see. He believes that women are there for like his entertainment and pleasure, and that he is deserving of their affection and time, while giving literally nothing. Yeah, he's also ugly. I mean, there are attractive incels, but he's purposefully designed. He's not unattractive by accident, you know? Like the way that people like that would be an accident. He's designed a specific way. He also, actually, now that I think about it, kind of looks like Quasimodo, but I've never really seen The Hunchback of Notre Dame, so I can't really, like, he's nerdy, like, he says nerdy things, and, like, dresses unstylishly. We see him playing video games. He's obviously not, like, classically or even traditionally attractive, and he's highly unsocialized. That's a key point, I think. Also, the way that his normal body moves, not his Titan body moves, is just so disgusting. It literally makes me feel the way that I felt when I would look at Animorphs book covers for too long, to the point where, like, I'm so nauseous that, like, my head starts to hurt. But also the way that Hal acts with Roxanne is super creepy. And you can tell that it's different than a, like, oh, he has unrequited love kind of thing, because of the way that, like, it's shown to us that he feels about her. It's not like he likes her and, like, sees her as, like, this beautiful girl that he wants to get to know better. Like, he already knows her because he works with her. And also, like, he sees her as this, like, virtuous woman, which, like, everyone else does. But because of that, like, he doesn't really lash out when she turns him down the first time, because he assumes that he isn't what she wants, which is a superhero. And then once he has what he thinks she wants, he doesn't understand that that's not what she wants, because, like, he can't think past the nose on his face. To him, her being interested in someone who's not super, like Bernard, is unthinkable. And he thinks he worked really hard to be this superhero, which he didn't work hard. But more importantly, he's not what she wants, and he's not listening. He didn't put on his listening ears today. And Roxanne has a dark academia fetish, and we can't fault her for that. Like, she's completely valid. For whatever reason, Hal has no dreams or ambitions outside of Roxanne, which is kind of fucked up. So because he has literally nothing else going on in his life, he can't handle this rejection from her. I can assume that he can't handle any rejection, but this is the only one that we really get to see, so I'm basing it off of that. I mean, like, it's pretty obvious and well known that he is an example of an entitled nerd. I watched a video that compared him and Syndrome a little bit, like, from The Incredibles, but Syndrome was, like, the entitled fan, or the, like, obsessive fan who, like, can't understand a parasocial relationship, which I think is a little unfair, because he's a child, and I don't think children understand parasocial relationships. Whereas Hal was never I don't think he was, like, a fan of Roxanne. He's got some key differences. And namely that there's no one that he's, like, idolizing or, like, trying to join the team of. And also that we've got, like, gender in here as a part of the play, and, like, the idea that Roxanne, well, first of all, that women exist to only fall in love, which is kind of what he's putting onto her. And also that women can't say no. Like, that's sort of his expectation, is that she won't say no. Like, it's almost like Gaston, because Gaston also can't take Belle saying no. There's, like, a lot of examples, but this one feels very specific because Gaston is, like, this jock. He eats 10 dozen eggs or whatever. But what I think is just, like, so amazing about Hal as this villain is because, like, his villainy is really insidious. And it, like, masquerades as this benign loneliness. Once something negative actually happens to him, like, he freaks out. Yeah, it's very similar, I think, to, like, white supremacists. He reminds me very much of the Charlottesville march like if like the people would be him. He would probably be friends with white supremacists online. But like Hal is such a recognizable villain to the world that like we live in, especially like in the 21st century and like with the internet. And it's one that our popular culture just like, we kind of like wag our finger at and we don't actually give attention to. But like, Hal would be a school shooter. Like, yeah. Also, like, Big Bang Theory, same kind of person. But, like, we just give that a pass. So now let's talk about Roxanne. She's hot, she's smart, she's nice, she's kind. But her mouth is really small, don't like that. Her body proportions are weird. And whoever designed her eyebrows committed a hate crime. She's both great and makes me sad, because she's the straight man in a cast of like goofy superheroes who kind of have to trade off like their statuses and positions in terms of like good and evil and powerful and not powerful. She's essentially in this position where she has to be perfect, and so we have to root for her at every moment. She can't do anything wrong. We have to be on her team. So when we first meet her, she's like cool, calm, collected, everything's good. We find out that she is smart, but also like she has human emotions like anxiety and sadness, but not so much that it's a problem. We can root for her falling in love with Megamind because since he's the narrator, we find out really early on that based off of his life story and trajectory that he's really a villain in name only and not actually that bad. He's just bad because Metro Man is good. So she's then kind of forced in this damsel in distress position, which like sucks, but we don't really know why she's in that position because like it's never explained why that suddenly happened to her. I don't know. But she is really cool and really badass, and like she doesn't get that many opportunities to show that off, but it does show up in her unrelenting intelligence and optimism. So yeah, that's kind of okay. So then, where we are in the movie, move away from Roxanne. This is kind of like the final battle. Titan's like, I'm gonna kill Roxanne, because she put on the red light. And then Megamind shows up and he's like, you're not a super villain, because you need good presentation. She's like, I knew you would come back. And he's like, bruv, I did not have that much faith in me. Yikes. And then Titan kicks his ass. But then he comes back dressed as Metro Man, and Titan's like, oh no, I am scared. But Roxanne figures out pretty fast that it's Megamind because he doesn't land any punches on Titan. But Titan had already kind of run away. But then Roxanne does the do-do-do with his watch and is like, haha, I knew it was you, Megamind. But then, oops. Titan figured it out at the same time because he said that Metro City was pronounced Metrocity. R.I.P. to Megamind. I'm so sorry you have dumbass disease. Then, Roxanne Ritchie is like, crucial information. I know where your invisible car is. So then he gets the gun and sucks all of the Metro Man juice out of Hal. And then they kiss, and there's, I don't know, minions there, and he pretends to die, but he's not dead, and then they do dancing that is so bad. Oh, whoever animated the dancing, I am so sorry. Let's talk about our leading man, Will Ferrell, Megamind. Yeah, so we know he's not really a villain because he's really just victim to circumstance and low-key TBH racism and classism. And Metro Man's low-key a villain because he doesn't help anything and he never stops anyone from bullying Megamind. Like, what the fuck? So Megamind, though, he doesn't have any powers except for he's way smarter than anyone else. So maybe his power is Galaxy Brain. God gave him Galaxy Brain, and Metro Man taught him how to use that. So what's really interesting about Megamind is that he has a very similar inferiority complex to Hal. However, Hal does not have any of the same struggles as Megamind. Megamind struggles with, incarceration, being an alien, being an immigrant, basically. Lack of education, being orphaned, and also literally being despised by every single person in Metro City since birth. So he's not gonna have a sense of entitlement. Like, that's not ever gonna be in his storyline because he's got trauma. So his complex is a lot more self versus society rather than self versus other men, which is that's Hal's problem. I don't know how he basically chose Roxanne to be his damsel in distress, but it seems like he didn't really have that much of an interest in her until like he actually started getting to know her because she wanted to know Bernard. Very strange. But what's great about Roxanne is that like his relationship with her reduces his inferiority complex considerably, which makes him sympathetic, you know? Like he exhibits change, whereas Hal doesn't really. It seems like different colors come out from Hal. Gains confidence, he starts taking responsibility and leadership, and he cleans up the city. And his romance with her is like really organic, which is awesome. It probably isn't rare, but it feels rare to see a male protagonist do things to make their female love interest genuinely happy and not to get anything out of it. Maybe I'm cynical, but also because Roxanne is really designed as this like Mary Sue / Manic Pixie Dream Girl-esque figure. We're not supposed to like know her as a person, but we do because she's cool. Like she's just supposed to be like I said, the perfect woman, which is sexy and motherly all at the same time, which is disgusting. Like, sorry to this man, but I don't like it. I don't want it, actually. But this is really, like, the only example that I really can think of where that happens, where the Manic Pixie Dream Girl-esqueness goes away as we get to know her, and we really get to see that he sees her as an equal. So, overall, this is, like, what I think makes this movie really stand out. And also, like, why it's one of my all-time favorites. Like, not just because it's absolutely hysterical and, like, still makes me laugh, which, like, are good things. And, like, these things should count. But I think, like, just the massive subversion of and role reversal that goes on in the movie is so good. I actually personally really hate superhero movies. I find them to be really formulaic. I don't like formula. I don't like franchises. So, like, the only superhero movies that I like other than this are, like, The Dark Knight and Days of Future Past. Like, those were the only ones I would consider equally good to, like, non-superhero movies. And I've said this, I know no one's gonna like this opinion, but I really think that Megamind is the perfect superhero movie, and we don't need any more superhero movies after this. Because, like, I feel like people try all the time to, like, make the villain sympathetic, and they fail every time because, like, you can't justify killing people. Like, unless it's an abuser. But then they're not going to continue being a villain and, like, killing people. Huh? Whereas, like, the things that turned Megamind into a villain are relatable, you know? Like, external hardship. Everyone deals with that. Except for Hal, we're not talking about Hal right now. And then, like, Roxanne is everyone's inner optimist, which is cute. And then, like, I literally can't stop saying, Hal / Titan as a villain is, like, terrifyingly real. That's why I like it so much. Like, I think we all know people who are like Hal, even just a little bit. Like, we went to school with them, blah, blah, blah. If this wasn't a DreamWorks movie, Hal probably would have assaulted someone. Maybe killed Roxanne, possibly. I'm gonna repeat it again, but his kind of evil is in the real world and is a real threat and is one that I think we become more and more aware of. And I just, like, it literally gives me chills to think about. There's just, like, I feel like there's something, like, deeper to... There's just something about how that, like, I can't really put into words because it's so disturbing. It's like, he is so scary. Maybe it's a trauma response? I don't want to talk about that. But, like, I'm sure there's other people who agree with me that, like, that's what's so great about Hal is that, like, he's not just this sort of, like, out there villain. Like, it's tangible. And especially, like, in a movie where everyone else is, like, goofy and, like, the art style is goofy and there's superheroes, like, to be presented with a fear that is real is really like amazing and interesting and so clever and creative of the people who made the movie. I'm certain of this. I know I sound like I'm uncertain, but yeah. So like this is like overall I would say this is probably like in my top 10 favorite movies ever. Like I love everything about it except for the animation style. Oops. But like the comedy, the music, the storytelling, like it's amazing. I don't think I really need to explain it much further than that. I just really feel like this movie is something that I can watch over and over and over. Like every time I'm at like a hangout or I don't know, like I haven't seen a movie in a while, like and we're suggesting movies. This is usually one that I will suggest pretty early on. I'll suggest like What We Do in the Shadows, another favorite of mine. This, Troll 2. I love this movie. I feel like society has progressed past the need for superhero movies. And I think that we passed that point with this movie. Because this is the perfect subversion. And literally name a more interesting... Not like name a more interesting movie, but I feel like there really aren't that many interesting superheroes. This is a video that I've been wanting to make for a very long time. I know that like a lot of this was just like explaining the movie. I'm so sorry. I'm sure it would get better if I got more knowing and good at movie commentary. But I also like have a few other ideas that are kind of similar to this, so like let me know if you like this, because it's very different. It's mostly different from what I tend to do. And also let me know if there's any movies or TV that you would like me to make a video on, because I don't know, free ideas are free ideas. Thank you so much for watching. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Got lots of links in the bottom. Click on them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Mamma mia, here I go again.